What's up, everyone? Today we are going to be talking about how you get your miniatures from this to this. Recently, a subscriber wrote to me on YouTube and said that they got their first game, they're getting ready to paint, and was saying that they hope that I do more videos that kind of teach the process of painting, not just the color schemes and things like that. And I thought that is a great opportunity to talk about. I've been painting for about 2 years now of doing it regularly and consistently, and I've learned a ton, and I would like to pass on some of that knowledge to the people who are just starting out, because every day somebody is picking up a brush for the first time, is buying a game with miniatures in it for the first time, and is thinking about how to lay that paint on there. And if they aren't guided, it can be a really rough, rocky road. As I think all of us know, if you're watching this and you've been painting for even a little while, you're going, yep, my first time, it was terrible. And I think that is the first thing to remember. You're going to be terrible your very first time. Don't worry about that. But this video is going to be focused on the products that you need. So we're going to go over all of the products that I recommend. And as I show you each of these products, know that down below in the description, I have an Amazon link. I do get a kickback for anything that you buy through there, so it'd be really awesome to support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but I am letting you know that these are the products that I use. But pretty much every product is available on Amazon somewhere, so don't worry about it too much. I'm telling you the ones that I use because I actually use them. So the very first thing is you need to get a game, obviously, or a model of some sort. You need something to paint. Now, I'm not going to show you that because that's obvious, but maybe you've gotten a model and you're saying, well, what do I do next? Well, if you get a model like these ones from Mechs vs. Minions, these are a game piece, and these game piece plastic miniatures come as a single piece. But if you get like the Harry Potter miniatures game, they might come in multiple pieces like this. They might come on a sprue, and they're going to need cleanup. So the very first thing that you may do, it could be in a lot of different orders, but we're kind of going to go over them in a chunk here, is how to prepare your model before you even get to the painting part. The first thing that you need is some sort of super glue, and I really love the Gorilla super glue. There's plastic glues, there's a ton of other types of things. PVC glue, which is like white glue, school glue, is not strong enough. You're going to want something like super glue. The simple thing with that is it helps to fit them together. You glue them in and hold it for a little bit and you're good. But don't worry, we'll go over all that kind of stuff in a separate video. So now you've already glued them together, you've cut them off of the sprue. Well, you need to do some cleanup, and sometimes you actually need help cutting them off the sprue, and that's where these two things come in. This is clippers. Now, sometimes they might be called wire cutters. They could be for cutting wire of very small gauge, but the important part about these ones is they're actually flat on this edge. This is perfectly flat. And so that way you can bring it directly up to the miniature wherever you want, and when you snip it off of its sprue, these things will leave it as flush as possible. Then you want to take some sort of knife. Now, some people use X-Acto knives, some people use box cutters. This is a box cutter. This is the Husky brand one. I like this one because it fits well in my hand like it's a knife, and I can hold it comfortably. That's the main part, is you want to be comfortable. Then you're going to take this, and anywhere that you see seam lines, which I pretty much have cleaned up most of these miniatures, so I didn't really think of that before we got to here. But you'll see little lines. Those are called seam lines. And then you might also have little bits of plastic sticking off. That's called flash. And you'll take this and just scrape lightly along it. Now, these are resin, the Harry Potter ones. These are plastic. This is the only option you have for this, is some sort of sharp object. You do not want to use the next thing that I'm going to show you. The next thing that I'm showing you are files. Okay, I just got this little file set, and I think it's excellent. It's an incredible price for what you get. This is for resin miniatures. And this will help to file down any of those seam lines, file down any places where there's extra flash. If you use that on plastic, it will rip and tear the plastic. So you could buy it now if you want to. You could just never buy it and use just this. This will work. It's just a little bit harder to get fine detail with any sort of blade. These work better. But again, do not use these two together. Do not use plastic with a file, only on resin, because this one will actually sand down as if it was, it acts like wood almost. It sands down, where if you did that on here, it will rip and tear it. So after you have cleaned up all of your flash and you've gotten it ready to where you're ready to start painting, you have to prime your figure. And the reason you're priming your figure is that acrylic paints do not stick well to plastic. And rubbing them with your fingers, especially for game pieces, I should pause for just a second and say, if you are a model painter and not a game piece painter, you might have different steps than I have in this. I have not painted models that are purely for display. I have only so far painted game pieces. So mine is how to make them stick to game pieces and not, rub off. But this guy has been played with a ton of times, and you can see his paint is still on there as solid as it was the first time I put it on there. So I really, really like Krylon, the Color Master, and this is primer, not paint and primer. You see it written down here again, primer, black, ultra flat. I also have this in white, ultra flat, and these are primer only. And now they say metal, wood, and more. I can promise you that this works well on plastic. Again, somebody painting a model for competition might not agree with me, but I found that this one works very, very well to cover evenly, has an ultra flat instead of a glossy finish, which allows you to see all the detail in the model as you're painting, I think, a little bit better. Now, when you get to your next stage, you might want to use black on the base and then as the base primer, and then use white to do zenithal highlights. In a later video, we will talk about zenithal highlighting and how that works and what it's meant to do and things like that. We'll go over all that. But for right now, just know that the Krylon Color Master primer is excellent, and for the price, this can alone is probably going to do 200 minis, depending on the size they are. So this is an excellent product. Now you've primed it, you let it sit for a little while, and it dries. It's now time to paint. And I'm going to swivel over here. I have a ton of paints. You don't need that many the first time you start. I have more than this. These are just the what, like, up there. You can see that there's more in that box, but you don't need that many when you're first starting out. It's not as important to have all of them so that you have every single color available. But what I will tell you is that buying some of the starter kits, which I have linked below, I got the Vallejo Model Color starter kit, and that had a great mixture of colors where I could pretty much build any color that I want to, and that was a great start. And it's also a relatively low cost to get into model painting without having to spend too much money, finding out that you hate this hobby, and then wasting a ton of money. But it's about $25 for the set of all of I think you get 16 paints for about 25 bucks on Amazon. So that's a great deal. There are tons of different types. There's P3, which is here. There's Citadel. You can get any of those that you want. To be honest, you're going to have to learn how to use them. They all interact a little differently. And so picking a specific one over another when you're just starting out isn't that important. What I would recommend, and this is my recommendation, other people may recommend something else, but I recommend that you do not use what they call craft paint. Those are the $1 Americana or Crafters Acrylics or any of those type of brand. Apple Barrel, don't use those. They're kind of difficult to use at the scale that we're using them. If you're building scenery and stuff like that, go for it. But if you're going to be trying to use that type of paint on your miniature, it's going to be very, very rough. There will be no smooth sailing for you. So linked below is the model color pack. I suggest getting that, or you can go to your local game shop and potentially pick up just a couple colors. If you're interested in just trying it out, maybe buy, a black, a white, and a blue, and trying to see what you can do with that. Then you're only out, they usually run about $3 each. You're out $9 before you spend the $25 and get the entire kit. So of course with paints, you need paint brushes. Now I have, I'll also point over there, about 50 brushes there and a whole bunch that are sitting over there. And you don't need that many brushes either. The best thing that you can do is get some nice quality brushes. So there's a difference between very, very bad brushes. That's like these. These are the kinds that little kids use when they're watercoloring, okay? I use this exclusively for glue because you can just peel the glue off of it and then it keeps working. That is not what you want. You can also get some kind of entry level this is Royal Crafter's Choice. This is a synthetic brush. Now this one is used for like dry brushing. It's a pretty big brush. You can get some of these. You can pick them up. They're usually like $1 to $2 each. You could go and get a kit like this. I do not like this kit very much. It came with like 15 brushes or something like that, and I don't think it was worth the money, even though they were like $1.50 each. I wouldn't buy those. You can then get high-level synthetic, which are like these ones. And the reason I'm going through these real quick is because I'm going to tell you which ones I think you should get. I think you should get the Army Painter brushes in the Most Wanted pack. It comes with the Regiment brush, which is a great base brush. It will get you through 99% of painting the model. It comes with your small dry brush, which dry brushing is a godsend when you're first learning. And I threw the other one that it comes with away because it had just gotten really, really old and the bristles started falling out, which kind of happens. But it comes with a brush that's really tiny, like this size here. So you can see them up next to each other here. Comes with a very fine detail brush. Now this is a Kolinsky Masterclass brush. This is like $12 a brush. Don't start with brushes that are that expensive until you know you want to do this. But this kit, linked down below again, great kit to get. It will get you through all of the stuff that you want to do. So now, where to put your paint? Well, you can get these, and I painted with these for a long time. They're very, very cheap. They come in a pack of 20 for like 50 cents each, maybe less. You probably get them at a craft store for even cheaper than that. And they're just little paint palettes. And you can peel the paint off of them since we're using acrylic, wash them with water, and they're ready to go. Or you can get a wet palette. Now, this is something that I would suggest that after you've painted some of your models, you've tried it out, then you can get one of these. I have it upside down. And they are just a sponge with a very thin layer of paper on top of them. And you use that to keep your paints wet and mix and things like that. Now, I'm showing you this because it is linked below, but this is definitely an optional. So pretty much everything else that I've shown you so far, you need in some way to be able to work with resin or plastic minis. You need brushes, you need paint, you need somewhere to put your paint, you need glue if you're doing resin, you need something to cut it with and shave it with if you care at all about them looking complete and not having a bunch of spikes on them. You do not need this. But if you are at all very happy with painting, truly enjoying it, this will change the way you paint. Again, you have to kind of know how you paint to be able to change the way you paint. So again, might not be something you need right away, but I am pointing it out because it is another place where you could put your paint. There are also videos online of how to make your own. I did that for a while until I got really frustrated with it and then went to the Stay Wet palette. I will talk about when we get to that area of doing the miniatures in this video series. I will talk about how to make your own and the pros and cons of these purchased ones versus those. So you also need somewhere to put your water, but I would suggest just get a cup. There's a ton of stuff out there that you could buy if you are somebody who has a lot of disposable income and you're very happy to spend that. You could do that. If you were looking to have something to hold your miniatures a little bit easier, that's where this hobby holder comes in. Again, you can look that up as well. They don't sell them on Amazon. I believe they sell them within their store. So there's a lot of accessories that you can get, but those aren't necessities. So don't pay attention too much to all these accessories that are supposed to make you an excellent painter. You have to become a painter first before you can become an excellent painter. I'm still working on that. And these accessories definitely help, but they wouldn't help if I didn't know what I could do better. So get paint on those models first, and then you can get to that. Now, you've gotten paint on your model. You've let your model dry. You're ready to go. You then have something to seal it with. And this is my favorite. Jeez, I can't talk after all 16 minutes of this. Krylon Color Master Cover Max Clear Non-Yellowing Flat. When you're painting up your models for the most for the most part, you're going to want them in flat. You're not going to want them to be glossy, because glossy looks a little weird when it's on the models. Now, in some cases you will, especially if you want them to look slimy or whatnot. But purchasing this stuff here, again, this will last you about 200 models. It dries very quickly. It works excellent. I love this stuff. This is really the only stuff I'll use. I think that the little tiny can that a lot of people use, you know, it may be better. I can't tell the difference of it being better. I know it's a lot more expensive. The Tester's Dull Coat, it comes in a can about this big. But I think the Krylon Color Master is excellent. Now, this might be a problem, and this entire video might be a problem if you don't live in the US. I understand that. And you're going to have to figure out things that work for you if you don't live in the US. If you don't, you can always go and find the exact matches of whatever I've said. You find the difference of that. Well, that's about it. If you have any questions of any of the products that I've brought up, let me know. Again, down below in the description, you will find a link to all of these. I will also have tried to post up in the corner as each video comes out of the how-to of each of these sections. I hope that it works. I mean, I haven't really done that much, but up in the top corner will be a drop down of all the videos of the how-tos that belong in this series. But the next one up will be how to clean and build your miniatures. So we'll talk about cleaning and building these guys, putting them together, and I will see you all next time.